Hi. So I recently played a kinky switchy game with a a sweetie who came up to visit, and I thought that y'all might enjoy this game as well. So I'm gonna leave out the drinking part because I get to do what I want in my own motherfucking life. Proceed how you desire. Um, but I thought I would share just the pieces around play specific to being two switches and um, two people who work really hard at non-attachment. So I think it's a fun connection between the self-care work of grief and gratitude, which for me are resources in maintaining and working towards, always working towards non-attachment, combined with kind of mixtures of bringing all of my array of sexuality. So, um, be that well for this particular game, we're talking about two people that are both enjoy all genders, both portray all genders. Um, Both of us are kinky, and um, so we were bringing that into the game. The kink piece isn't necessary. It could just be a play piece, you know. It could just be a silly thing. It doesn't even need to be erotic, but uh, I'm just going to tell you how we played the game, and then you get to do whatever you want to do with it. And I would love to hear about your own iterations. That would be really fucking cool if you want to share. So, um, thinking about non attachment, I think as somebody who is genderqueer and switches in kink and switches in who I play with, and there's an element of non-attachment necessary for me in having that degree of fluidity. And often, I think that I've played a lot with folks who will switch from scene to scene, but don't often tumble within a scene. And I really enjoy being able to switch throughout multiple times. I've done a lot of swing dancing. I did a lot of swing dancing for many years, and what I loved most about it was being able to switch. So in swing dancing, you can give away the lead, or you can give away the follow position. You can also take the lead, or you can take the follow position. And I really enjoy erotic and kinky scenes and playtimes where I have that whole mixture available to me. So uh, you do you, however much fluidity you want, but um, how the game goes. So, what we did was we set up a playlist and we agreed on music to start together. And then we set up, um, I have a sling. And the reason we set that up is for considerations of body. So, checking in with your needs, your mind, your body, your heart. What do you need? And I've got back issues. They've got knee issues. We're a little bit older. So, a sling we knew would allow us to iterate quickly between who was receiving and who was giving, because you can just kind of flop into it and out of it. And both of us knew what we needed for our bodies. But setting up your scene, set your stage for success, right? Um, we chose the music together. And then the agreement was that after two songs had played, whoever named, oh, third song has started, um, that A stops the scene and B switches us. So um, at first we started, the first, like, I don't know, hour and a half maybe, we had it so that the songs were not crossfaded. So that made it pretty easy to like notice when there was a pause. Well, increasingly did not make it easy because as you're kind of getting into the groove of deepening um, where you are in your let's say, receiving position. Um, I don't know about you, but I tend to tune, I tend to tune music out, and I'm focused here, and I'm focused with my play buddy. Um, so at first it was really easy, and then it was increasingly challenging. And then after it started to become consistently challenging for both of us, we started a crossfade just to like crank up the crank up the challenge. And that became really hard because then we had a couple of times where we were like, oh, the song changed. And actually it didn't. It just that the song had a dip and neither of us were paying enough attention to notice that it was actually the same song until suddenly it had shifted. So um, and that came with its own rewards or punishments, and you can do that however you want. So um, but so essentially each, let's say, scene ends up being 2 songs long. So that ranges from, let's say, 7 to 12 minutes. The playlist didn't have like 15, 30 minutes songs. It had kind of an average length of songs. So after every 2 songs, um, whoever names that the second song has ended gets a prize, um, and the other person gets a punishment. Y'all can dole that out how you want. Like I said, I played it as a drinking game. I'm not going to recommend that on a professional setting here, but you could find other ways to play that. Um, so, and then we would switch. So, I think that something that's really important in this was establishing a shared sense of vibe, um, and intention for that time together. We really established like what do we want each of us from this time together playing, and what are we seeking together. And then the other thing is really naming who is it for. And how we did it was the person who was in the lead position, it was always for them, whether they were taking or receiving. So maybe I'm in the lead position, but I want to have someone's fist, right? And maybe I'm in the lead position and I want to give my fist. So you can choose how that rolls for you. But it was pretty fun. We played for a couple of hours. And so imagine like every 7 to 12 minutes you're switching. And what was fun was to notice that maybe one of us would have kind of offerings of that are, let's say, a little more introspective and slower. Not that you can't have something different, like you can have fast and introspective. But anyway, going with this, and that would kind of feed into the way the next person might play, maybe. So if you wanted to receive in a softer way, you might give in a softer way, and that may or may not work to your benefit. Um, what else? One thing I love thinking about this game was bringing in, as I said, elements of non-attachment. And I would ask you, like, what does non-attachment mean for you as somebody who might be a kinky switch, as somebody who might be a gender fucker, uh, as somebody that might be bisexual or some range of all the things enjoyed? Um, how does non-attachment play into those understandings for yourself and the ways that you engage in your eroticism with other people that also have that kind of fluidity? uh, so yeah, it's I actually I came up with this question a long time ago, months ago, thinking about like when switching, how do you invite a practice of non-attachment? And I came up with that because I sometimes host, and well, I'm one of the hosts for a kinky leather sangha, and I love these questions of where do mindfulness practices combine with our leather and kink and eroticism. Um, Hi. Oh, so many lovely faces here. Hello. I wish I could see y'all. That would be nice. Um, yeah. So That's my question. That's what I would love to hear. If you want to message me, like, first of all, I would love to hear if you play this game, how you play it differently. What are your iterations, and what do you notice come up, and where you feel challenged, and what feels alive in that for you. And then I'd also love to hear if anyone wants to talk about how do you connect your gender fluidity and your sexuality to ideas of non-attachment, especially in connection with other people that have that kind of fluidity that they're playing with in the bedroom, wherever that may be. So um, oh, I can go over the game one more time. Yeah, so let's see what we did. We had two of us. I really want to play this with multiple people, so just putting that out into the universe. Um, and what you do is, well, what we did was we set up a playlist. We set an intention together and a vibe. We checked in on, like, what are the body needs, what are the mind needs, what are the heart needs. Take care of that, and then got all of our supplies for each of us because we're both going to be giving and receiving and tumbling around all of those ideas. Set a playlist. At the end of the second song, somebody has to name, oh, second song ended, or oh, third song has just started. And in that moment, that person then gets to get a reward. And the other person maybe gets a punishment. You can decide what that is. Um, an example of a reward might be you can change the music, right? So if I want a different vibe, let's say I call this, I'm in the sling receiving, and I call, oh, third song started. My reward might be, oh, for the next song I want something like death metal. It's, so you can choose what your rewards and punishments are, and then you switch. So the focus is on who is it for, and it's always for the person. Like, you start with, you just choose, draw a fucking straw if you wish, but choose who it starts for. And then with each two sets of songs, you switch that. Now it's for you. Now it's for me. Now it's for you. Now it's for me. So, um, and it doesn't matter if you're receiving or giving, if it's for you, right? Like, I can give, and that can be for me, or I can receive, and that can be for me. So you can decide that for yourself. And I think that the more you can tumbleweed that and mix it all together, the more fun it can be. Like, we did a lot of just, like, all over the place between giving and receiving. Like, you could have not known who it was for based on who was giving or receiving, which I think is a fun little addition. Um, yeah, I agree. And one thing we noticed with the songs, I will say, is, I said this earlier, like, at first we started where they weren't cross-faded, right? And so there was an obvious kind of, like, lull in the music, and it was like, oh, there's a pause, next song. And then as each of us kind of begin to sink in deeper, faster, right? Because you're talking 7 to 12 minutes, and at first you're just like, you're pretty cognizant, and after a while, as you're getting into it, you're kind of like, ah. And so it became harder to notice when the song had changed. And at that point, because it became harder, we were like, oh, fuck it, let's up the ante. And so we started crossfading the songs. And then it got way more complicated because sometimes we'd call a song, but it hadn't actually changed. And then there was different punishments for that. So that's a fun thing. Um, so yeah, yeah. Playing with songs as a cue to non-attachment. Do you want to come on here and chat with me about that for a second? I would love to hear about that if you wanted to. Okay. Um, yeah, that's all I have. I just wanted to share the game with y'all. So I'm hoping you'll play, and I'm hoping you'll tell me about it. And I got lots of more games. I kind of realized the other day, I was like, oh, I've got all these, like, fun games, and I should just share them online with y'all so you can do them too. So um, feel free to reach out if you have questions about that, or get to experience. So, okay, another time for coming online to chat about that. Yeah. mixing practices of mindfulness with eroticism. Uh, I feel like so often when we think of mindfulness, we think of like calm and relax, and I don't. I don't. So, I mean, it could be, but it doesn't have to be, you know. So, yeah. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna go. It's a week of rituals. Welcome to winter, y'all. It was officially -10 here in Montreal today. I walked outside and I was like, oh, yeah, winter has arrived. So I will see y'all in it. Bye.